Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another reaction. We actually have two in one video today. These are both from Bakugan Battle Brawlers, which I was never a Bakugan kid, but I knew a Bakugan kid in school and he scared me a little bit. But I am aware of what Bakugan is. I've seen like an episode or two of the anime. It didn't do like that well at the time I was like into that stuff, so it just kind of fell to the wayside. But I'm vaguely aware of how the whole system works. But this is apparently the Aquos arena and the Subterra arena of this game, so I'm at least going to get to hear what it sounds like, and I guess without further ado, let's go! Alright, so we bopping. Actually kind of sick. I kind of want to see where this goes, but like, whew, it goes up. I wasn't sure if it was just gonna kind of loop, you know, and be that the whole time. I don't expect too much out of like OSTs for games like this. But I've also been proven wrong, because I've heard what the Yu-Gi-Oh games have. So, you know, like, I don't underestimate. This weirdly does have a water feel to it. I don't know how to explain that. I'm trying to figure out why. Maybe it's just the era that this song was made in. I think that might be it. Like, that'll take me getting into a weird subject, but maybe I'll do that. I'm just kind of chilling here, though. And the loop. You know, you're always going to find me enjoying that sort of song. That genre brings back a lot of nostalgia, and for a reason that I will now get into. So I think the vibes I'm getting out of this song are almost entirely to blame on the Frutiger Arrow design aesthetic, which was huge in the early 2000s. For any of you under the age of like 25, you have no clue what the hell this is, but a lot of you might know what it is just based on the look, not necessarily the name. It was just a design aesthetic that was super popular in the late 90s, early 2000s, and a lot of games also dipped into that. A lot of video games would go for that, and they would use sounds like this, synths like this, to get that sound out of it. And again, this is kind of weird that I get to bring this up as a point of talking here, because I didn't expect for that to hit that way, but that's kind of what this is. This is the exact sound they would be going for in order to like invoke that design aesthetic. And I'm sure some of the like water themed stuff in Bakugan are probably inspired by that exact same design language, I guess if you want to call it. It's more of an aesthetic style, you know, it's kind of like just like what designers decided was going to be in at the time, and a lot of places and a lot of people decided to utilize it, including video games. So that's probably why. But also, it's just weird that I get to say that, because like, as far as the song itself goes, it's very simple. It's kind of nice that it has some movement in there. I didn't really expect too much, like I said, but I've also been proven wrong by stuff for like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Masters stuff, like nuts. Very cinematic music out of that, but this is more simple, and I kind of expected that. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's basically loops in the backgrounds of what would be either like lobbies or like just fighting, you know? It's not really the focus of what's happening. You're focused on like making decisions in these games, not what the music sounds like. So when you just want to get this rough aesthetic, to set in the mind of the player and be like, ah, yes, the water theme. That's what you go for. That's what happens. I mean, it's the reason we think of things like the Super Mario 64 water music the way we do, the original Mario water music even. It's just like, it becomes synonymous with that. It's just, oh, we have water. Well, let's make it sound like this. And basically everything in that same era was doing that. Obviously, the original Mario kind of outside of that window, but especially Mario 64 definitely had that in the sound profile when they were doing stuff like the Dire Dire Docks theme, which is one of the most like brought up common examples of that sound and that nostalgic water-based track. And you can also like track this aesthetic to stuff like the original Kingdom Hearts, and like that island setting is definitely a thing. The games for Sonic in the early 2000s as well used a lot of that just for that aesthetic. And a lot of people think of it just as, oh, it's early 2000s beach aesthetic, and they don't know why. You can blame Frutiger for that. So I guess if you didn't know that before, now you know that, and that's probably why the song did that to me and why it hit those certain buttons in my head. Not really much to talk about on the instrument side and on the music side, but definitely a little bit of design and aesthetic history for you there, I guess. But now I'll get on to the Subterra theme and see what that is and what that does. Maybe it's a little bit different. Maybe it hits a different musical aesthetic. Maybe they go for the same thing. I don't know, but let's find out. Ooh, definitely different. Ah, okay. Nu metal. Kind of in the same pocket. Not a Frutiger, but it was very popular in that time. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. I think this is the Egyptian scale. Yeah, I think this is the Egyptian scale. So they're also tying that in, which again, very popular at that time. I didn't expect this video to go this way. This is so interesting. It's like a time capsule of the early 2000s in a way I never expected. Ooh. Ooh. I honestly didn't expect that complex of a fill. It's not too hard, but more than I expected for sure. And the loop. All right. Again, another topic to talk about as far as the aesthetic goes. This is a really interesting video. I did not think we were going to take this direction, but here we are. So obviously this song going a lot more for that nu metal sound, and also had what I'm pretty sure is the Egyptian scale, which is just a type of scale and a language in the music. It's just a specific way to do a scale, and they're applying it here. A lot of songs have done this, or at least variants of it. There's so many variants that utilize similar sounds to the Egyptian scale, but I'm pretty sure this is directly the Egyptian scale, which in itself is just a variant of the Phrygian scale, which I've talked about in spades on this channel before, but it's just very specifically the Egyptian one, I think. It could just be a different Phrygian scale, but there are aspects or notes in here that are making me think it's the Egyptian one specifically. Point aside, though, back to the whole like design, feel, aesthetic of this song. Again, nu metal. Going in for that sound, very popular in the late 90s, early 2000s. You got groups like Limp Bizkit in there, Slipknot, of course, you know, all of these like really heavy groups that had that sort of chugging guitar going to town, allowing a lot for that just beef in the track here, but then also kind of intermingling it with that like Middle Eastern Egyptian feel, which was again huge at that time for some reason. I think I can blame like I think the movie The Mummy came out in like the late 90s, so that would probably have like started this interest in that vibe, and they just carried it in here. It's also probably the reason that Yu-Gi-Oh did so well, because it was again utilizing that, and maybe that's kind of what Bakugan was trying to do here. They were like, hey, maybe we can make our players feel like they're playing Yu-Gi-Oh a little bit by playing something in that musical wheelhouse. Like, it's very possible. They're all competitors, so it's not really a surprise if they were like, hey, let's see if we can pull some people away by making them think it was something else. Frankly, Duel Masters, which also didn't really hit it off here, but I did have like a Game Boy Advance game of, and it wasn't good, but it's also what that was doing for the same pocket. It was trying to be Pokemon, it was trying to be Yu-Gi-Oh! Those were doing huge numbers, and while the other two had their niches, they just never hit the same scale. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bakugan was like, hey, let's try and like scalp a few people, just scrape some off the top. Yu-Gi-Oh won't mind, plop that in our bowl. It's very possible. But again, just with the design in the song, but I think this is so cool because like I know there's supposed to be 6 elements in here, and this is just 2 of 6, and it's very possible the other 4 that I haven't even heard are also just variants of that time capsule, just really taking exactly what that time had musically and design aspect wise, and was like applying it to this game and just made it basically, it's gonna sound bad, but as generic as it could be. But also, that's kind of what makes it fun, especially in hindsight. When you're looking back on it, you have the nostalgia for Bakugan, and you're just like, hey, wait a minute, this is what my childhood felt like, at least in my case, because I was born in the late 90s. I lived through all of this hype. I was born in 96. By the time Bakugan started to kind of show up, it was like the mid 2000s, and I was like, okay, that's here. I, again, didn't really care for it myself. I was still much more into Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh at that time, but it has its place in my heart now because of just revisiting this design aesthetic from such a broad perspective. It allows me to kind of take all of my nostalgia and put it into one singular musical basket just for right now, you know? There are a lot of songs that I've heard on this channel, a lot of ones I've done reviews on that have had that nostalgic hit for me. But this is a different level of just really broadly taking that whole vibe and shoving it at my face. And you know what? I kind of respect that, actually. I think this has its place as far as the music goes, even though it's not really impressive as far as the technicalities of the songs go. It's just kind of nice to have this feeling of, hey, this is exactly what this was like back then. It's kind of weird, but also really nice to see. I'm floored because I truly didn't think that this is where this video would end up, but I'm really happy it is, actually. But I think I'm done yapping, so thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you have something else you want me to get to, drop it in the comments below, or if just like Black Gold did, you want to make sure I listen to something with a guaranteed request, you can go to my Patreon or my YouTube memberships. There is a tier that will force me to listen to whatever you got for me. I don't care how good it is, how bad it is. I just like to listen to music, so if you can throw whatever you want and I will listen to it. But otherwise, if you just like this video and you want to follow me and support me for other stuff in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!